Tonight, I'll be sharing 3 terrifying true stories sent in by viewers, all involving nights they were home alone, and realized they weren't as alone as they thought. This happened to me about 2 years ago when I was 16. I was home alone one night while my parents were out for dinner. It was around 9 p.m. and I was lying on the couch scrolling through my phone with the TV playing in the background. At some point, I thought I heard a light tapping sound coming from somewhere near the front of the house. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe it was just the house settling, but the sound kept happening, soft, irregular taps. Curious, and honestly a little nervous, I muted the TV and just sat there listening. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the front window, right next to the door. I got up slowly and walked closer to the window, but I couldn't see anything. I even turned on the porch light, but the outside looked empty. Thinking I was just being paranoid, I sat back down, but maybe 10 minutes later, I saw movement, just barely, out of the corner of my eye. Someone was standing just outside the window. I froze. He wasn't knocking or anything anymore. He was just standing there, watching. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my phone and texted my parents without even looking away from the window. But by the time I looked back, the man was gone. I locked every door and window and sat in the bathroom with the door locked until my parents got home. We called the police, but they didn't find anyone. To this day, I have no idea who that was or what they would have done if I hadn't noticed them. This one happened to my best friend, Rachel, when we were both in high school. One night, she was home alone because her parents had gone out for the evening. It was around 11 p.m., and she was sitting on the couch watching TV in the living room. The house was silent except for the hum of the television. She remembers hearing the faint sound of footsteps from the basement. At first, she assumed it was just the house settling, or maybe the cat walking around. But the footsteps kept coming, slow, deliberate. Rachel stood up and walked into the hallway to check the door to the basement. The door was closed, but she distinctly heard footsteps coming from behind it. Not from the stairs, but from inside the basement. She thought it was impossible. Nobody had been in the house all day, but just to be sure, she checked all the locks. Everything was secure. She hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the better of her. She slowly reached for the basement door handle and turned it. The door creaked open, and the stairs to the basement were completely dark. She stood frozen in place for a second, listening for any sign of life, but it was dead quiet. Rachel turned on the basement light, but the darkness below seemed to grow darker, almost suffocating. She took a few steps down, calling out, "Hello? Is anyone down there?" There was no answer, but then she heard it again, this time even clearer. Footsteps behind her. She spun around so fast, her heart racing in her chest, but the basement was still empty. But the footsteps didn't stop. They were growing louder, closer. She ran up the stairs and slammed the door shut behind her, locking it. But the footsteps continued, now coming from the hallway. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't explain what was happening. She grabbed her phone, tried to call her parents, but there was no signal. After a few minutes, she heard the front door unlock, like someone was trying to come inside. That's when she grabbed her things, bolted out of the house, and ran to a neighbor's place until her parents came home. When they got home, they found the basement door wide open, and the strange thing, the basement was completely empty. Not a single footprint or sign anyone had been there. To this day, Rachel says she still hears the footsteps sometimes, even when she's at home with her family. This story was sent in by a viewer named Amanda, who experienced something that still terrifies her to this day. It happened a few years ago when she was living alone in a small apartment. It was a quiet Tuesday night, and she had just finished reading a book in bed. The clock read 11:30 p.m. when she set her phone down on the nightstand and tried to fall asleep. A few minutes later, her phone buzzed. Thinking it was a text, she picked it up, but instead of a message, it was a call. The caller ID showed an unknown number. No name, just a string of random digits. At first, she ignored it, assuming it was some kind of spam or a wrong number. But the phone rang again just a few seconds later. This time, she thought maybe someone was trying to reach her, so she answered. "Hello," she said, but there was only silence on the other end. She said it again, more urgently. "Hello? Is anyone there?" Still no answer, just complete silence. But the call didn't end. She held the phone to her ear, waiting, but nothing came through. After a minute or two, she hung up, assuming it was a glitch. But the phone rang again. Same number, same silence. At this point, Amanda was getting nervous. She didn't know what was going on, but something felt wrong. She picked it up again, and this time when she answered, she heard something strange. A faint whisper. It was so quiet she could barely make it out, but she could swear it was someone breathing on the other end. Not talking, just breathing. Terrified, Amanda hung up immediately, but as she was about to turn off the phone, it rang again. This time, the call was different. There was a voice on the line. "I'm watching you." That's all it said, nothing more. Her heart raced as she slammed the phone down, but she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her, and she wasn't alone in that room anymore. That night, she didn't sleep a wink. She kept checking the windows, the locks, and even checked the peephole in the door every few minutes, convinced someone was outside. The calls stopped after that. No more strange messages, no more whispers. But to this day, Amanda says she still feels like someone is watching her when she's alone, especially at night. She hasn't answered an unknown call since. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's stories. If you have any creepy experiences of your own, feel free to send them in, and maybe you'll hear your story on the channel. And if you enjoyed these true horror stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.